This episode is brought to you by Pepperidge Farms. Dating all the way back to 1937, Pepperidge Farms have continued to make delicious food for everyone to enjoy. These include their world-class bread, delightful Milano cookies, which I really enjoy, everybody's favorite snack, goldfish, and even this very bag they sent me, stuffing. Fantastic. Can't wait to have it this weekend. So thank you again to Pepperidge Farms for keeping us all fed through the LIV Fantasy Football League and for making this podcast possible. Welcome back, everybody, to the LIV Fantasy Football Podcast, episode 13. 13 today. I'm your host, Ethan, here with co-host, Commissioner Barb. And
I got water.
Co-host number 2 is back. Matt, welcome back. How you been?
I've been good. Happy to be back. Did miss this quite a bit. Can't lie. Leave it at that.
We missed you too. Look, we missed you too. It happens.
Yeah, we had to get Joe on. It was a painful experience finding out he still didn't know the members of the league.
I couldn't tell if I was looking at Joe or someone else. I couldn't see him.
He was invisible for half the
podcast. The good news is we taught Joe Adam and John's names.
That is true. He does know. He does know. Maybe. He might have already forgotten.
He 100% does not know.
Anyways, we got the scores up on the screen. Not really too many close games. Besides, I guess, Barb, your game.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about it. Highest points in a loss. I'm back. My fucking rightful fucking spot.
Yep.
Highest points in a loss.
It's tough. I'll quickly go over my game. Only put up 110. Lowest points in a win. Basically, everybody who won this week put up good numbers. Everybody except Barb, who lost, didn't put up great numbers, in my opinion. I didn't even put up great numbers. So that's about it. I just got lucky with a matchup. So
next year, we're definitely just doing fucking average. There's no actual games. It's just based on the average points of the week. I'll be undefeated.
There you go.
God
Matt,
damn.
what about you, man? You can go over your game a little bit.
Chase's team didn't entirely deliver. I think that was one game for them. I think that his roster is perfectly fine. Probably should have won against me. AJ Brown put up a one spot, I think.
1.8. It's a solid week from AJ Brown.
Yeah. The score doesn't really depict how close that game was going into Monday night.
Yeah,
I believe
I'm the luckiest one in the league, honestly, based on that.
I believe you were only up 7, and the only 2 players in the game were your Devontae Smith versus his AJ Brown.
And Devontae Smith scored 19 and a half?
Something. He put up numbers for me. I don't know if he broke. Did he have more than 15? I
think he had 19 and a half.
Something like that.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say, not only that, Matt's now separated himself from that 8 seed, 9 seed battle. And, Chase might have the points for advantage, but he's only got the game advantage.
That record's not helping him at all.
The record's not helping. Although that's a dangerous team for the 1 seed to have to play potentially.
Yeah.
I was talking to Chase about it last night, that 8 teams being put into the postseason here of a 12-team league. Seeding is going to be huge. And
massive.
I hate to throw this man's name in there, but if I was to choose who I get to play against, I don't want to face Joe or Josh.
You don't want to play Joe?
I feel like, Joe, you have a 50-50 chance of having the easiest win of your life or a 50-50 chance of him dropping 130 and you want to cry. There's no middle ground with Joe. I feel like if you put up that's the difference. Joe either puts up less than 95 or over 130. There is no in between for Joe. It's either great week or horrible.
And as you can see with the score this week, he only put up 94. Now, granted, Doug, freaking awesome week for him.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Great week for Doug. We were all wrong on that. We said Joe was bouncing back. His team was looking good.
Couldn't have been more.
And then Doug took that as an insult, and he also took $10 out of Joe's wallet. He bullied him. Literally bullied him. Stole his lunch money.
It's just looks like the easiest money ever.
It literally free money. Free money. Bet Doug money line against Joe. And then, there was a couple games. John versus Colin. That was our game of the week. The battle for the 8 seed.
Yeah, it was kind of a stinker.
And it started terrible. It started terrible for Colin, and it just never recovered. Joe Mixon dominated, put up over 20, and Mark Andrews suffered an injury after 2 catches.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Bob. What would you give to have your roster, but Cullen's record right now?
I'm gonna be honest. I
I feel like you would just
my
take it. I
team's
mean, that's just an extra win.
Yeah, I feel like my team's a good enough team to be in the playoffs, but I'm not gonna lie, the consistency of my team and the actual I have told Ethan I don't think my team's good enough to win in fantasy, like a championship in fantasy football, especially in our league.
But you got to give them a chance.
Yeah, I thought they were good enough to win a game, maybe like upset someone, but like I didn't think the consistency, especially from Gus Edwards and Brian Robinson. Like Brian Robinson just put up over 20 for 2 weeks in a row. It's never happening again.
Yeah.
Well, the biggest issue, and the reason I asked that is because like Collins' team the last 3 weeks, man, just straight downhill, even before the Andrews injury. And he did make that trade to send Burrow off.
He did it just in time. Just in time.
That is true. I want to point out that also is really going to hurt Chase in the future. He's got bye weeks to Lamar and Hawkinson, and Chase doesn't have a tight end or a quarterback on the roster.
He needed that win against you bad, Matt. That was a huge game.
Yeah, Chase has a tough schedule as well. I'm not going to lie, even with the points for it, tough schedule down the stretch. If you're a David or a Colin, if you can win out,
you might squeak by.
There's a chance you squeak by Chase on record.
And one more thing before we move on here. I remember I was on the phone with you, Ethan, while I was with Barb, and we talked about the 4-game stretch after I acquired Kyron Williams. What was the record I said I'd be happy with?
You said 2-2.
I hope you said 2-2 because 3-1.
I did. I said 2-2, but I would be content. I'd be okay at 1-3. I just needed to get a win to stay in the mix until he got back.
Yeah.
Did I end up? I think I ended up 3-1.
You may have because you beat David. I know that you beat Chase. And who'd you play?
I lost
2 weeks before that.
I lost.
Oh yeah, you did lose to Adam. God.
I think I won the week before that though.
Yeah, and you beat David, you beat Chase, you beat John. Yeah, he went 3-1.
Wow. Better than what you even wanted, dude. That's huge. Yeah,
I was gonna say that
team's back.
It was a huge win for Matt because if he would have lost, he would have me and him now would have been playing in
5-6.
Yeah, and a win for me would have put a lot of people right on Matt.
That is true.
And I don't know if people are gonna really watch this and delve right into this part of the pod, but if we can remember the timestamp and when this one is put in, this is something to pay attention to. I took a deep dive yesterday. Had nothing to do with the office. Took a deep dive and found out that Josh, with a win over Barb, could be as high as 1, low as 6.
Yeah.
And if he had lost to Barb and Chase had beaten me, Chase, I believe, would be 5th. Josh would be 6th. And I could have been as low as 8 and high as 6, whereas Chase could have been as high as 5 and as low as 8.
I could have been 9. Yeah. It's tragic with the win.
No, it's insane.
Were huge in terms of magnitude of the season.
Also, we can't forget the last game. Tough break again for David. This was a game you have to have if you're David, and he left the amount of points on the bench where he could have won it. And as you can see, least efficient manager as well. All those bench points down there. It was just a tough break for him. Ethan looking like he really did fleece him just because Sam Howell cost David a win. Ethan maybe intentionally doing that to keep David out of the playoffs.
Maybe. David's been a big hater lately. Kind of deserves it. But anyways, yeah, you saw our rewards. If you're just listening, Josh was the most efficient just the week. David was the least efficient. Obviously, we just talked about it. Barb, you had the highest points in loss. I had the lowest points in win. That pretty much sums up our rewards.
Josh only left 0.1 on the bench. Yeah, by the way, 0.1.
Insane. So with that, we'll go ahead and we'll move on to our bets last week.
Again, not just a bad week. I went negative for the first time in 5 weeks. Went negative for the first time. To be fair, it was an all-plus bet week. Shout out my boy Colin.
Hey, look. Wow. I would say I did really well, actually. All right. Yeah. I'm up over 6.5 units. And honestly, this last 4 week, maybe even dating back to 5 week stretch, I may be up 20, close to even 30 units right now.
Yeah, Ethan had a good week. Honestly, I should have thrown 100 units on Georgia.
That Georgia minus 13.5 was so easy.
The free and Matt, you weren't on.
Was Duke the only one that lost in your parlay, Ethan?
It was. Duke was the only one that lost in that.
Now, Matt, you weren't on here, so walk us through the guest and what they were thinking with their parlays that unfortunately did not hit.
Okay, well, looks like we got guest one, guest two.
Guest two is Colin. Guest one is Joe.
Damn, I was not gonna have you tell me who, and I was gonna
He was going to try and guess Barb.
To be honest, you could tell by the parlay.
Yeah. So, I mean, Joe taking the Browns -1 was a bold pick. And going into that game, I wouldn't have thought that. So that's the most surprising one on there for me. I could have predicted that he'd probably take Georgia. Oregon State's a little bit out of character for him, but he liked that one. But interesting. I mean, he's up 0.67 units. Calling the plus bet god. All I see is minus odds.
That was tough out of him. That was tough.
It really was a disappointment from Colin. Not going to lie there.
You have to imagine he's not a fan of the games that are picked every week, as opposed to just him being able to choose, which he could have chosen some money lines. Chose not to.
I will say this though, the pod completely swept the Louisville and Georgia game. It's a rare thing.
That's impressive.
Yeah, and I went 0-4 on the NFL games. Didn't get a single one right. I blame Valdez-Scantling. Chiefs should cut him.
I had a bet on Miami money line, and I should have basically that bet put all in together. It's summarized by the play where the two Miami players ran into each other. So
yeah,
that is true.
That was brutal.
It was a tough break. But solid. Joe went positive. I'll give Joe that. Colin goes negative. That's 2
not
weeks
our worst
for the guest.
Not our worst.
Ethan, a really good week. Best week of anyone that didn't get a parlay right.
Maybe.
And that is. And then my first barely negative, a little under half of a unit, but still a negative. And I took Auburn -20.5, which,
Why'd you do that?
I can't say I blame you.
Ethan, fuck you for going to the game.
Yeah, it's my fault. Hand up, my fault. I went to a game and had a great time outside of watching the football game.
Well, I'll be there this weekend, and I expect the same result. So,
well, that sucks.
That's fair.
But let's go ahead and get into our next bets here, Barb. This one's going to be a little exciting for us.
Exactly. So it's a Thanksgiving episode. The reason we're doing it now, not Thursday. Can't be doing it then. So I thought, what better way than to pick all the NFL Thursday games if they're games we're picking. So we're going to start off with Ethan. We got the Packers at Detroit. It's a -7.5 for Detroit. The over-under is 47.5. And walk me through what you picked here.
Yeah. So look, I can't tell you who's going to get the turkey leg, who's going to get the turducken. I can't tell you that. But what I can tell you is that they're in a dome. It's on Thanksgiving, and there's nothing better than a lot of points on a Thanksgiving NFL Thursday. So give me the over 47.5 here. Detroit and Green Bay. They're gonna push points up there. They're gonna start us off hot. It's gonna be a great Thanksgiving, everybody. It is. It really is. So give me the over there.
Matt, what about you on this one? Do you agree with Ethan? High scoring game, apparently.
I actually originally thought under in this game and started to think about it a little bit more and chose to go a different route. The Lions did not cover last week against the Bears, and the Lions have been playing on Thanksgiving for every year since God knows when, and they're finally 8-2, probably the best record they've put out there on a Thanksgiving Day game. I believe they're going to come out and kick ass, and they're going to cover that spread. I bought the point down to 6.5, but that's what I believe they're going to do. So coming off of a week where they didn't cover, they expect them to cover this week.
Love it.
Yeah, I also did what Matt did. I bought a point. I took -6.5 for Detroit. I'll be honest, I called the Packers winning last week. I can't be backed up by that in our group chat. Chargers are still fraught, but I feel like Detroit. This is not only being 8-2. I can't remember the last time they were favored in a Thanksgiving game. I don't even think they were favored last year against the Bears when the Bears were under 500. So I really feel like Detroit's going to send a message that, like, they're really just kind of going to beat the shit out of the Packers, especially what the Packers have done to them over the years. Wouldn't be shocked if Detroit wins this game by more than 10. And I don't know who they play next week, but probably the freest win of all time against Detroit. I feel like this is going to be a really good game for the Lions before they inevitably fall apart next week.
Hmm.
So give me the Lions -6.5. And then honestly, I'll kick us off the next game. It's Washington at Dallas. Spread was 10.5. Over under 48.5. I bumped this shit up. I took Dallas -13.5 here. I feel like Dallas is going to win this game almost not as badly, but almost as badly as that Monday night game when they won by over 40 a couple of years ago. Wouldn't be shocked if Sam Howell throws about 2 or 3 interceptions here. Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb are going to have a field day. Tony Pollard might, for the second week in a row, won't completely shit the bed. And Dallas is going to walk all over them. I really have nothing else to say. Don't have any faith in the Washington team. They can't run. They don't run the ball either. Sam Howell throws over 40 times a game. And you wouldn't be able to tell if you had any Washington fantasy receiver because it doesn't show anywhere.
It doesn't.
Well, I'll jump in after you. Dallas is going to win this game, but I didn't take the spread. I went and looked. Dallas has been dominating for the last few weeks, and they've also covered a lot of double-digit spreads. Covering double-digit spreads in the NFL is a really hard thing to do, and it is a short week. It's Thursday, Thanksgiving. 10.5 is a lot of points. I think Dallas is going to win the game. I'm not choosing the other side. Give me the under. I think the defense shows up. They shut down the Commanders. However many points in total are scored, it might all be Dallas. But I didn't want to toy around with the idea of them not winning by 10.5 or whatever the spread is. It's just a big spread.
It is a big spread. And unlike Barb, I actually did not put any more points on it. 10.5 was plenty, like Matt was saying. Double-digit spread is already enough as it is. But Washington's defense lost 2 key assets before the trade deadline. So I can see Dallas. I can see CeeDee Lamb. I can see Dak Prescott. I can see Pollard just pushing the ball down the field with no problem. And on the other side, that's kind of where the toss-up is. Like, I don't know if Washington's offense is going to show up this game or if they're going to be like the Patriots' offense. So I don't know. We'll end up seeing what goes on with that, but I trust Dallas -10.5 way more.
Barb, I also want to say, I believe that's a little bit of deja vu, if you know what I'm talking about. Thursday night game. I'm not sure if it was on Thanksgiving or not now that I'm saying this to you and you look confused. But Dallas and Washington, 10-point spread.
The blowout was a Monday night game, I think.
Monday night game. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
But anyway,
yeah. You mean when I told you guys hammer Dallas and you all took Washington and I just watched that game just like those stupid bastards.
It could be the same.
Okay.
Shout out to our boy 5-star, by the way.
Yeah, we don't tell him.
Anyway, last NFL game, it arguably the one that should be the closest. It's the Niners at the Seahawks. It's a 6.5-point spread for the Niners. Over under 43.5. And Matt, we're gonna let you start with this one.
So, San Francisco, they are probably the most complete all-around team in terms of stars and what they can do to you. They've got the offensive line. They've got the defense. They've got a quarterback that all he's got to do is be a game manager. This is easy. I think San Francisco is going to cover the spread against Seattle. Banged up Kenneth Walker. Banged up Geno Smith. It's another short week for them to get back. I believe they'll probably at least play Geno. Can't tell you about Kenneth. It sounds like he's going to be out. I love San Francisco in this spot. The only reason that their spread isn't higher is because they lost 3 games straight, and that was a few weeks ago. This is a new team. They're going to cover this spread easily.
I agree with Matt, and I seem to have noticed we all took -6.5. The Niners are just not
much more needs to be said.
Yeah,
about
the Niners are just the better team. Honestly, Geno Smith's been having a pretty subpar year. I wouldn't be shocked if this game is the biggest win of any game on Thursday. I wouldn't be shocked if none of the Thursday games are actually good. This seems like a really shitty Thursday night, like Thanksgiving Day games.
Yeah, but everybody will be sleeping by then. They will have had their fill of turkey, their fill of stuffing.
And it's sad
because turn the Niners-Seahawks game on and fall asleep at halftime.
It's kind of sad, though, because the Lions are finally good, and the Packers are terrible now. So, of course, it's like you couldn't even get a good game there. Who knows? Maybe a game will turn out good, but I feel like all of these are blowouts.
Look, it's fine. But you know what won't necessarily be blowouts? Is the rivalry college games this weekend, which I love college rivalry weekend. So Barb, give us the bets for the week.
Except for the first one. We took the one Thursday
Well,
night, the one
that's
Thanksgiving
fine.
game. It's Ole Miss is at Mississippi State. Over-unders 55.5. Spreads minus 10.5 to Ole Miss. I bumped it up to 13.5. Ole Miss is going to win this game like 38-10. Mississippi State's one of the worst. Unfortunately for them, they've never really recovered from Mike Leach dying last year. They're probably the worst or second worst team in the SEC. This is a bad team. I know people say rivalry week's different. Things happen. No, not like this. Maybe when the teams have some talent. There's no talent on this Mississippi State team. Honestly, you could probably take an elite high school team, might be able to compete with this team. That's all. They're dog shit. Honestly, I should have bumped it up to Mississippi minus 24. Yeah, this is also a 2-unit bet for me, by the way.
See how there's no hair? It's the Egg Bowl. It's the Egg Bowl. But let me tell you this. Mississippi State's defense is just donezo. They're Humpty Dumpty. They fell off the ledge. They're cracked. They're done. Give me Ole Miss minus 13.5. Covering that, no problem.
I'm on the same side as y'all. I will say this. I want this on air before this ever gets released. Why? The one thing about this game that the only way Ole Miss does not cover is Lane Kiffin and coaching candidate talk. That's how this works every year. Every single time that he becomes a head coach candidate for a school, Ole Miss shuts down. And if you remember last year correctly, Auburn was the school trying to lure him in, and Ole Miss went on a losing skid. They were horrible. They should have won games way easier than they did. I believe that this game is going to be more competitive than it should be, but Ole Miss ends up winning the game easily. 10.5.
I'm be honest with you. I think you could. I think you put anyone in our group chat as the head coach of Ole Miss, they probably cover the spread.
They should, but I don't know if I'm forgetting this or remembering this wrong. But last year, I'm pretty sure when this was all going on, Ole Miss did lay an egg in the Egg Bowl.
Mississippi State was actually not terrible though last year. This year they're real bad.
Hey,
they were a bowl team last year.
And Ole Miss wants revenge from last year.
And Mike Leach was alive.
Sure,
he
coached the game.
Bringing that up.
It's tragic. He was my favorite coach.
Just go on to the next game.
All right, the next game, it's Oregon State at Oregon. 13.5 point spread for Oregon. Over-under is 62.5. And Ethan, we'll start with you.
Yep, Oregon minus 13.5. Oregon State has not showed me anything good enough to compete with Oregon right now. And Oregon's playing for a playoff spot. I don't know if you knew this, but they need to win here. And honestly, they need to probably win pretty big. Because I think they are outside the playoffs looking in. They need a big win here against your rival at home. Go ahead and put them at minus 13.5. Could be even more, but that's what I got.
Matt, what about you?
Oregon's going to win this game. I don't see a way that they lose. Even if this game is close, they're going to pull it out in the end. Somehow they're going to find a way to win. These are two I think both coaches would be disrespected by the over-under set on this game. These defenses can play some ball. These are two pretty damn good defenses. And the only time I think Oregon State's defense has struggled all season long was a weird random game against Cal. Outside of that, they've been pretty effective. I think that I'm going to take the under of 62.5 in this game just because 14.5, 13.5, however you want to buy the point. Still a lot of points in a rivalry game.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot.
I also took the under. I bumped it down to 59.5. Give me Oregon 37-20 over this Oregon State team.
Wow.
I think this is going to be an easy win. I think you get DJ Ooga Booga in this game. I'm not feeling the Oregon State offense here at all. I think they might score a touchdown. They'll probably score 2 touchdowns. That's about it. This Oregon team is for real. I'll probably pick them to beat Washington in the Pac-12 championship game and make the playoff. They're playing really good. Bo Nix is playing at a Heisman level. I mean, this is a revenge game as well. 2 revenge games. Oregon State beat them last year. So already a revenge game. But I feel like this is they've been playing like one of the 3 best teams in the country. And especially the last ever Pac-12 home game that they have against their biggest rivals. I feel they're going to try and absolutely beat the shit out of them. They're going to send a message. This is why you didn't get a conference invite and why you're going to the Mountain West probably.
I agree. And I think Dan Lanning's a hell of a coach. So
he might call off the dogs.
But that's the thing about taking spreads you got to worry about. You could have a 21-point lead a team minus 14.5, and they score with 2 minutes left to cover. So
Yeah, the garbage touchdowns, the backdoor covers are the worst.
Indeed. Then we got probably the biggest game of the week. By far the biggest game of the week.
Definitely the most fun to bet on.
I mean, it's definitely the biggest one, too. It's Ohio State at Michigan. Michigan's a 3.5-point favorite. Over-under 46.5. And, you know, we all took Ohio State in some way. However, me and Ethan took Ohio State minus 2.5. Me and Ethan believe they're going to win this game. I believe they're going to win this game. I feel like this year they kind of are more physical. They have the defense. I feel like this is a super low-scoring game, and I honestly feel like this comes down to the fact that J.J. McCarthy is going to shit the bed. I think Ohio State's kind of learned from last year how to play defense against this team, and I wouldn't be shocked. I probably should have taken the under. This is probably like a 21-17 game, but I'm picking Ohio State to win, and I literally brought the fucking line as far as I could on DraftKings, and it's only 2.5, so give me Ohio State 2.5.
Yeah, I have Ohio State minus 2.5 as well. Just because anything under a field goal for me works. I don't think it stays within that 2-point range. And obviously, if Michigan wins, then Michigan wins. That's just how it is. But I love Ohio State's defense. I got to be honest with you. Like Matt was telling me, and I was just kind of rubbing elbows with him, but like Matt was telling me, Ohio State's defense is actually better than Iowa's defense. We all know that Iowa has very low-scoring games they somehow win. And that's because of their defense. Well, Ohio State's is better. Michigan is not ready for that defense. They lost their head coach. I think their season's kind of over. They had a wishy-washy game against Maryland. Give me Ohio State with the 2.5 points. Easy.
Yeah, that too. Jim Harbaugh being out, I feel that is a actual big difference for a team, especially in a game like this. And I feel like it's just too much.
It makes a difference, but also I bought the points plus 3.5.
Ooh.
Only reason this is one of those games where Michigan is going to come out trying to prove a point. Their head coach is not on their sideline, just like they have the past couple of weeks. Although they struggled last week, they're still trying to get that point across that you guys can do whatever you want to us. We're going to still win this game. Our coach should be coaching us on the sideline. That worries me a little bit. This is a low-scoring game, I believe, like you said, although I would have taken the under in the last two, and I'm pretty sure they've both gone over of these matchups. But, yeah, I got plus 3.5. When you believe in a team to win and you can get plus 3.5, you take plus 3.5.
This is a bonus bet. This is a bonus bet for our boy Colin. Colin, Michigan to kick a field goal first drive, if you can bet that.
Wow. First drive field goal for Michigan.
That random feeling. I feel like Michigan's going to kick field goal in the first drive of the game. I feel like they'll lose the coin toss, get the ball first. But anyway, we're going to get into parlays here.
All right.
So I'm going to start. I took a 20-leg parlay. Shout out to my boy Colin. It's a plus 48,957. You can read it. I'm not explaining it. Ethan, on to you.
Yeah. Barb's got an absolute list. So pause here. Take your screenshot and honestly put a cent on it. Even a cent is going to win you a lot more than you think it would.
A lot. I want to point out, though, I took a lot of the spreads and brought them as far down as I could.
Doesn't matter. It's going to make it very difficult to actually make this bet, like running through everything. But, hey, take it, whatever. Dude, I've only got 5 games in mind, so it's a lot easier to talk about. I've got Missouri minus 7, got Kansas minus 6. I've got FSU minus 6.5. And I've got Ole Miss minus 13.5, which we talked about earlier. Love all those games. And I also hate to break it to you, Matt. I said this after Auburn lost last week. Take Bama spread the moment it comes out. I got Bama minus 14.5. This Auburn team grosses me out, dude. So there you go. That's your ranked railway parlay right there. Tongue twister for your boy. Take it.
Matt, explain your parlay as well. I see all favorites. All heavy favorites as well.
I don't do this all that often, but before I explain it, I'll ask you, is there anything you can notice about the teams in my parlay? Is there anything that jumps out at you?
You took the top 6 or the top 7 teams except for top 8 teams except for Ohio State and Michigan.
This is the playoff contenders parlay. Okay. These teams are all in the mix to make the playoff. If they win out, these teams will be in the playoff. The issue is Bama and Georgia can't win out. One of them is going to have to play and lose. And then you got Washington and Oregon can't win out. But this week, none of them play each other. The only two that play each other, Michigan and Ohio State. So I stayed clear of that game, and I took the playoff parlay. These are your playoff teams, and that's why I took it.
Yeah. No, I actually love that. That's a great pick, honestly.
So before I get into the league members plus my brother parlay, I forgot to put this. I put 2 T's. That Pitt plus 7.5. That is the Steelers, not Pitt Panthers. Do not take the college Pitt team.
You got to when you're doing NFL. When you're doing NFL, you got to do their team names.
I put them all together. If you notice, I put all the NFL ones together from Kansas City to Miami.
But yeah, hey, speaking of Thanksgiving, we actually asked our league members to submit a bet so that we could look at the guest parlay of the week.
Exactly. So Colin took the Giants money line. I even put the who took them and what day they're playing. So you know who fucked up the parlay if one person got it wrong. David's taking the Steelers -1. John's taking Louisville -7 against Kentucky. Was thrown off. I didn't think John would go that way. My brother, we included him because he asked me, and I said, sure. He says take the Browns plus 2.5 against Denver. Doug's taking Jacksonville -1.5 against the Texans. Joe said give me LSU to cover. Didn't specify basketball or football. I knew he meant football. 11.5 over A&M. Chase gave me Kansas City. He was going to take the money line. Said, I'm not a bitch. Give me the spread. Adam instead took the bitch route, took the Dolphins money line. Aaron gave me the Pacers money line, specifically their Friday game. There's no odds for that. I assumed it'd be like a -300. And Josh, I thought he'd take the Saints. Wrong. He told me take the Heat over the Knicks, so that's not accurate anymore. On Friday as well. Spread's probably like a -180. So this parlay odds of 35-9-11 will be down. It won't be as high as it is. But
there you have it.
If everyone threw in $10, the 10 unit, this wins a lot if that hit, and you bet $100 on that. That's all I'm going to say. It wins a fuck ton.
It actually wins you $35,911 if
split 10 ways.
Bet. So
$3,500 and like $91 pretty much.
And we will be keeping track of who messed this up.
Yeah, I will say this. If one person gets it wrong, your buy-in is doubled for next year in the league.
Fact. Only if one person gets it wrong. So if it's my brother, wrong, you better hope that everybody else has at least one more wrong.
Indeed. So yeah, there's your pick. Remember, boys, Pacers money line Friday, Heat money line Friday. So this bet can't actually be made till Friday.
Yep. So keep that in mind. But anyway,
another screenshot.
We're going to take a quick break. Make sure you do screenshot this because it is big. We do like it.
Also cross out the Saints, or just keep the Saints in there if you want.
It's whatever, man. Do what you want.
The odds would fly up if you kept the Saints in there.
All right, we're taking a quick break. We'll be right back. See you. All right, we are back from the break. As you can see up on the screen, we've got our LIV Fantasy Football Power Rankings, but it's a little different this week. Barb, would you care to explain why?
So we took the normal. We took points for. We took wins. We also took the sleeper power rankings. Those are 3 things that stayed the same. However, the 3 people on the pod were not involved this time. In fact, it was the 9 members of our league, and they did not see it. They don't know the results, but they all submitted their own poll to some degree of difference.
We'll get
into that. But there's definitely a big degree of difference on some people, but some controversial people.
Little surprise, little Thanksgiving. We want to thank our league members, so we allowed you guys to make the power rankings this week. So
exactly, and it's my test run to see if Ethan's still going to be the host next year.
We're about to find out.
So coming in number 12, we've got Get Your Other Free Win. It's Adam, and this man's playoff percentages. Shout out to Adam. He gave us the playoff percentage thing. He still has it.
He did.
Only person below 5%. It's a 1.
Yeah, and looking at all the ballots here, this is tough. His best position out of anybody's ballot was 8th.
And that's high. That's high.
Outside of that, he either had position 12 or position 11. So yeah, I mean that's tough for him. But again, his team is by far the worst team in the league. The fact that he actually made it up to 8th was impressive for that person's ballot, but hey,
so
it is what it is.
We technically have 11 ballots or 10 power rankings and then two different polls that aren't power rankings. I believe Adam was dead last in 8 of the 10 actual polls. If that lets you know anything.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's a really tough season for Adam. Nick Chubb going down so early in the year absolutely kind of derailed him. I don't really even know if it helped that much, considering how bad the rest of the team's been performing as well. Maybe get him a win here or there.
Matt,
it would have helped a lot.
what do you see about this team?
Well, I'm looking at his roster right now. To be fair, every week we do this. I look at big players on every team to find out how to make my rankings. Obviously, not having anything to factor in here. This wouldn't have actually been my 12th team this week, and I submitted y'all a poll earlier just so you could see. But I think it's probably the most fair ranking. He's tied for last with the worst record, but hey, he beat my team, so he's a squad beater.
That is true. Adam with some random wins over Matt, Doug, and I don't know who else. Whoever else you are,
Hey.
Adam appreciates the charity.
It might have
The
been
The Giants have some wins too. All right, it happens.
That's true. But there really isn't much controversial around Adam besides someone putting him at the 8. And I'm not gonna lie,
Bit shocking.
that was the most controversial poll we got. Coming in at number 11, he's down a spot. It's Colin. He's sitting at 4-7, and I mean, he needed the win against John. It didn't happen, guys.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I think he was the second most consistent across the balance. His best position being 9th, and his worst position being where he is now, which is at 11.
Yeah, this is a consistent team there.
Yeah, actually, I take that back. He is the most consistent among the ballots. So,
Yeah,
sorry,
Adam.
Colin, but
Yeah, another consensus
that.
bottom. Points for and sleeper don't save him either. In fact, going into the week, he was actually up in like 5th or 6th in sleeper, and then after the loss and the Mark Andrews injury, down we go. I think again, it's another thing. The team it's not got that talent around it. There's a reason why I think the playoffs are almost secure, even though he's only a game out of it.
Yep.
I just don't. You could argue this team should be dead last.
Yeah.
I think if you ask Colin today, if he were to go back and do the draft over again, he would have the most complete opposite strategy in the draft of anybody. I think a lot of us would probably draft somewhat similarly or slightly different. Mark Andrews was, to me, the only person on his team that kept him relevant. And losing Mark Andrews, bad news. If I were going to have made a poll, I would have probably had Colin last. Colin, sorry, buddy, but tough scene for your team.
And not just that, the Kittle trade for Kareem Hunt
that
Kittle's been going off since then as well. Kittle could have at least been a flex.
Who did you trade with again?
Matt the fleecer right there. Matt with
the
fleece
there we go.
Of Colin.
That trade worked out in my favor. Granted, at the time, I wanted to keep Kareem Hunt, but I didn't have a good tight end, so I made the decision to do it.
I want to point out you did tell Ethan Kareem Hunt was going to start going off. Never really happened.
Jerome Ford got injured that week, the week before I made the trade. And so
he should have been out that week.
He's going to be getting the bulk of the carries. He's coming off of a 15-point performance and 12 the week before that. It was a good time to trade him.
Leave it to Jerome Ford to get a high ankle sprain, but here Matt go, Kareem Hunt's going to go off and go, I don't need to miss any time. It's fine.
So dumb.
Yeah, I guess
a 4 to 6 week injury and fucking Jerome Ford's like, it's a sprain.
But Matt did tell me, he said, good guy Matt here, if the trade deadline had not happened yet, he would have been nice to call in and traded him back, George Kittle. He did say. But hey, the trade deadline's over, so he can't.
I feel like that's just not true. I feel like you lied.
No, not a lie.
Definitely said that. 100% said that. No doubt.
Matt's a good guy.
I can't remember when I said that, but I said that.
That's true. Good guy, Matt. Moving up to 10 and up a spot after losing.
Hey, I'm actually getting a phone. Oh, man, you can't see it. I'm getting a phone call from old Griffey. Just wanted y'all to see.
Oh, God.
Wait, real quick.
All right.
Hey.
Let's get him real quick.
Quick question for you. I know you're busy right now.
I just wanted to do this real quick. So before you ask your question, you're live on the pod.
Lovely.
All right, never mind. I can't answer your question right now. We'll see. I thought you would have more of a reaction.
Lovely.
Lovely. I feel like the question might not have been related to any.
You know what's not lovely is David's logo.
It's great.
I
Best
like
logo in the league. Unfortunate. David just can't start the right players, man. He's got to have one of the worst start sit accuracies in our league.
But that's why he is up a spot, though. He's like,
Well, he's
his
up.
team, yeah. Because his team overall is still competent. He's just not a competent manager.
Want to point
That's
out
the only problem.
Damn. Want to point out, David did have one of the last place things. Points for. David's last.
Yeah.
Takes up one of the last spots. He also, first person that does have one poll. He was voted inside the top 6 by one person.
was.
Has a sixth.
He was.
Again, one of the most controversial polls I've ever seen in my life. But we had to take it.
I got the chance to look over some of the rankings, and I'm obviously not going to speak on names. We're not going to disclose how people were ranked here, but shocking. And I think David actually was positioned accurately in this ranking. So
Yeah,
I will say that.
Pretty accurate. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know if that one poll did have a big effect, actually. That one poll, the drastic difference actually changed 2 different spots. But yeah, there's not much to say. David was a pretty consistent person voted on the bottom. In fact, that was the only person who had him above 90.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna move on. And again, I'm down a spot. I'm new name. I'm ready for the toilet bowl. That's the name of the consolation playoffs. I'm ready to win it. You guys don't know this. That's actually where all the prize pool is. You get no money for winning the real championship. Toilet bowl, where's that?
Yeah, dude. That's tough, man.
Yeah, was tough.
You ran into Josh, who put up a big number this week. You also put up a big number.
It was a good game. Look, me and Josh had a good game. I tried staging the comeback. Valdez-Scantling, Josh sent him a PayPal and ruined me. Dropped the touchdown. Made sure I couldn't win. It was a tragic day. But you know what? Look, man, I started out 0-7 and I just couldn't bounce back. I dug a big hole for myself, tried digging to China, tried getting out of the hole halfway through. Too big of a hole. I still technically could make the playoffs if Chase so happens to think he's trying to score no points and bench his team.
However, hey, you are 4th in points for.
That is true.
You're actually top 6 and 2 different.
Yeah, my points for and sleeper. Sleeper has me 6, points for had me 4th. But in terms of actual person ballots, the highest I have is 7th. And again, it's the controversial poll.
Oh, the controversial poll. I wonder who that.
To be fair, there are a couple, but this one is like the standout controversial poll.
Yeah, it stood out.
Yeah, I think this is again pretty accurate ranking for myself.
Yeah. I actually believe because we all also made our own ballots, but obviously they weren't included. I believe I had you below Dave. I'm not sure if that's actually true. But looking at it now, it's probably right. She was down to 10.
I think it's an accurate position. In these rankings, record is a little bit less significant than I think other categories of fantasy football. But at the end of the day, Barb's in a position where he's likely not going to make the postseason, even though he has had one of the better teams in fantasy. I think the 9 spot is probably the perfect spot for him.
I believe I'm within like 15 points of Matt and like 20 points of Josh for 3rd and 2nd in points for too. Like, I'm not even far behind. It's not even like there's a huge gap. I'm right there.
That's my thing. So you're not far behind me at all. I was looking at it when I was doing the whole standings thing yesterday, and I was not having anything to do. I was looking at the whole thing. I was like, well, Barb's only like 15 points behind me. So
it's a painful time. Shout out my boy Brian Robinson and Gus Edwards. You guys you tried your best.
Yeah.
Before we reveal the spot, I do have one more question for you, Barb. Do you remember off the top of your head what was your closest loss?
I think I lost by less than 4 to Aaron in week 1. I know I lost. No, wait, I lost by you. I lost to you by 4.
Yeah, I think there was another one that was close. Anyways, all I was going to say is
I'm normally the highest points in a loss, so normally it's everyone, probably everyone, all my losses except for like 2.
But whichever one was your closest, that one loss is the difference between you being ranked 9th right here and maybe even as high as 5th.
That's fair. I mean, the difference is though, like my start sit accuracy is the 2nd highest in the league, so like it's not even like I fuck up and leave points on the bench. Normally it's my max points would like barely beat the person starting, and then their max points is like 20 higher.
True.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
a
did
tough
look
break.
up the stat, Matt. It was against you. He did lose by less than 4 points.
I will be making the schedule again next year, and it will just be a bye week every week for me.
But then you won't have any wins.
I'll play 1 week. It'll be Adam, and then I'll have no week. All bye weeks.
Okay.
Moving up,
Say.
first playoff spot technically, because it's an 18
Technically,
playoff.
yes.
It's Johnny's up a spot, and I'm not gonna lie here, boys. This is not a bad team. Now,
No.
John was on fraud watch. He got a second running back. He got James Conner. Tank Dell has proven to be a consistently good player, and he's been making up for Diggs underperforming. John's put up over 123 points, I believe, these past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And if he can keep that going, this goes from maybe fraud watch to dark horse.
Yeah. You're very accurate with saying that. Matt, what do you think?
I think it's a good team. I think it's probably there's honestly so many teams I would classify as being a top 5 team in this league. I don't think John's team meets that description. I think he's just on the edge. So he's ranked 8th here. He could probably be as high as 6th, but I don't necessarily have the confidence in his team. Like Tank Dell's done it consistently, yes. James Conner is on a pretty bad Cardinals team. Will he be able to contribute the way he does or has when he's healthy the rest of the year? I don't know. So
I don't know.
a couple things there. And Stephon Diggs has not been performing. So
No, he hasn't. Hey,
Joe Mixon, however,
good thing for you, I
has
guess.
stepped it up. Joe Mixon has stepped it up as well. Joe Mixon and Tank Dell have made up for it. Patrick Mahomes has not been performing either, by the way.
Oh yeah, dude. That's probably the biggest shock to me this year is Patrick Mahomes is only the 8th best quarterback in the NFL fantasy wise. 8th. This man was drafted supposed to be literally either 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And he's 8th. That's tough. That's tough.
Yeah, the fact that John's been getting underperforming players and still dropping 120 plus these past 2 weeks really
Yeah.
I think it really all depends on if Stephon Diggs can get back to putting up over 15 plus a game and Tank Dell can consistently put up 15 plus a game. You're looking at like I said, a really sneaky team. John only had one person put him outside of the top 8. Weirdly enough, or 2 put him outside the top 8. One was points 4, one poll. This man was up to 5th.
Yeah.
And again,
Just about to get to that.
that goddamn controversial poll.
Hey, but there was another poll where he was 6th.
Yeah, that is true. So
He made
I think
top 6
I think
twice.
John's starting to make some believers out of some people who thought maybe he was a bottom 4 team.
Hey,
I
if he
mean-
looks again this next week, I'll put my hand up. I'll be a believer.
Like even I said, John, I think you're no longer under fraud watch. Not at all. No fraud watch for me.
So
And then we're going up to 7. And
round it out.
we have Matt. And I want to point out, if we did the normal way of doing these rankings, Matt was tied for 2nd.
Yeah, I mean, this one had volatile.
Now, if we're being fair, it wasn't except for one. His points 4 and sleeper 3 and 4. Every one except for that one poll 5 through 7. Everyone kind of consistently agreed upon this was a mid-pack team, high mid-pack to middle mid-pack.
The only problem is that one poll that we're talking about had him all the way down at 11.
Again, now to be fair, it also had It also has someone coming up all the way down at 12, and
That's
someone all the
insane.
way down at 10. But
Yeah.
that one poll did really bring down Matt's thing. It keeps him after beating Chase, a team that everyone thought was a top potential 3 team in the league in the power rankings. We moved him down a spot.
That's tough. It is what it is. But that's what the people wanted. Again, Thanksgiving episode. We want to give thanks to our league members for making this podcast possible.
In
So,
fact, I want to point out, Matt, besides the non-ballots, just the ones that were controlled by the league members, you actually were only put above 6th in one poll.
that is true.
that's wild.
That is
I
wrong.
mean-
Considering I believe Matt, you and I included, we both had you at 2 spots.
I mean, the only reason, again, I don't want to be or sound biased towards my team just because it's my team. I actually hate when someone's like that, like, oh, you know what, my team's the best team. My team's not necessarily the best team, but the big thing for me here, I get Kyron Williams back this week.
That's it. I don't think people noticed.
I have held out hope, waiting for when I get him back. And on the run that I needed to carry my team to at least go 1-3, 2-2 was a perk. I go 3-1. And again, I'm not going to try and sit here and sound biased myself. I just think my team's better than 7. And I love having Kyron Williams and Christian McCaffrey paired up. Devontae Smith, he looked great last night. I need Garrett Wilson to catch some passes from
Tim Boyle. Tim Boyle. The man who had like 10 touchdowns and 26 picks in his senior year in college.
We'll be fine. I got Justin Fields back, banking on it.
And I also want to point, Matt, I did call you beating Chase. I said DJ Moore was going to have a great game. I said this was a Devontae Smith game from the Eagles. Fucking definitely wasn't an AJ Brown game.
Wild ordeal.
Yeah, honestly, Barb go to me for plus bets, guys. As long as it's not a parlay. Single bet, I can hit a plus bet. Parlay, I'm mentally challenged.
Just leave it. But hey, let's get into number 6 here.
Number 6, the slide continues. He's down a spot. It's Chase the verb. Aaron, he's down a spot after winning. I mean, I know it was over David, but he is down a spot. This man has continued his free fall since being number 1. And this is a volatile, and I mean this is probably the most volatile person. He's as high as second. He's second in 2 polls, 12th in 2 polls. This man is all over the fucking place in polls. Not gonna lie, the polls, the 12s might be because of the Tyreek Hill trade. Maybe some people not a fan of the trade. Put Aaron last, but this man is Sleeper also has him below the top 6. In fact, besides the 2 12 polls, all the actual people voted him in the top 6 or higher. So people are liking Aaron's team, except for 2 people in our league who think it's the worst.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
Yeah, and I will also reveal something. If the 2 people that put Aaron second, neither one were Aaron. Neither one were Aaron. So Aaron's got some love from people in the chat. Also has some extreme hatred from some people in the chat.
Did Aaron put himself first?
No. In fact, only one person put themselves first. We're going to spoil that now. One person.
I knew he wouldn't have put himself first. I just had to ask because you were like, and Aaron didn't rank himself second. And I was like, well, maybe he put himself first.
No, only one person put themselves first. Might be the controversial poll.
Yeah, I know.
But you guys have anything to say about this spot, though? Like anything about Aaron being 6th?
Not too much. I think the Tyreek trade, I don't think that Josh Jacobs is as valuable as Aaron thought he was.
I'll say this, though. Cooper Kupp just got hurt. Puka had a great game. If Cooper Kupp misses next week, that's great. DK Metcalf just had his best game of the season.
Like Matt said earlier, Kyron Williams is back. I don't know if you know this, but when Kyron Williams was out, when Matt Stafford was out, that's when Puka and Cooper Kupp both played absolutely terribly fantasy-wise. But with both of them back, these guys can now start exploding like they did at the beginning of the year and before Kyron got.
Especially if Kyron comes back like he was, it gives the Rams a threat of a run game, which is going to force teams to not be able to commit to the passing game. Kyron Williams averages, I think, top 4, top 3 running backs for points per game before he was injured. This man was a top 5 running back. It took like 3 straight weeks of not playing to fall out of the top 15 in running back rankings. This guy was playing at an elite level. So if he can return to that,
then Puka Nacua is going to go off.
And this will help out the Rams just in total. It'll really help out the team. It'll also make Matt's team better. Probably boost him judging by how we voted for next week, very much going to boost him in the rankings. But yeah, I think
I do want to say this about his team. I think Aaron's team, the trade for him actually does make his team overall better. I don't think he has a chance of winning. The chance of him winning the league, I honestly think decreases because when you get to the playoffs, You need a guy like Tyreek Hill to go for 40 in those types of games. At least getting 20 every time out of him, and those lesser players step up and get you points. Now Aaron has a collection of average players, maybe slightly above average, and they'll boost his projections up. They'll score more points for him. So I think his team got better. I don't necessarily think it's as threatening as a championship team anymore.
I'll also say this. Since he did the trade, I'm positive Singletary and James Cook outscored Josh Jacobs. Singletary dropped like almost a 20, I think, again this week. Had another
Jacobs was a
fantastic
fraud.
week.
I knew he
and James Cook finally didn't fumble the ball, I believe. Yeah, so Josh Jacobs might be soon relegated to the bench for Aaron. Coming in at 5, though, and it's the first person with a first place vote. We have Doug with 1 first place vote. He's up 2 spots. And this man's sitting at 7-4, another 7. You're going to see a pattern with that record here, folks. 7-4, and he does get a first place vote, just 1. And I'll say this: Sleeper and Points for hate this man. They've got him 8th and 10th.
And there was another ballot that actually had him down at 8th.
Yeah, in fact, another volatile. This one I'll say again volatile. He's all over the place in rankings, up to 1, some down to 10. But he's coming in at 5, and I'm not gonna lie. Matt, I know you've never been the biggest fan of the team, but I believe in the past 3 or 4 weeks, this is one of the 2 highest scores in our league. Recently, this man's team's been on fire. It started out terribly in the beginning of the year in terms of points and stuff. And he had such a big gap. He's still really low in points for, but he has been Jahmyr Gibbs' emergence, even with David Montgomery back, has really boosted this man's team. DeAndre Swift's a solid running back as well. Saquon Barkley. If the offense is even
finally doing Barkley things.
If the offense isn't the worst in the NFL, actually will put up like 15. And I mean, Calvin Ridley, what the fuck was that? 31, highest wide receiver scoring of the week.
Yeah.
Don't know where that came from. Doug's going to want way more of that consistently.
Let me get back to something I said, like maybe the last time I was on this podcast. I said specifically, if Jahmyr Gibbs continued to play the way that he did, I would take back everything that I said about Doug's team. And I can't necessarily speak as a whole, but this past week, Jahmyr Gibbs, I'm pretty sure balled out, right?
Jahmyr Gibbs has been in the top 3 running backs, and I think his past 4 4 games that he's played. Like each individual.
Doug's got a pretty good.
In fact, I think if you take the weeks he played, he's outscoring McCaffrey. That should tell you how good he's been. He's been outscoring McCaffrey.
Yeah.
So
I take it back, brother. Your team's a lot better than I thought it was.
Receiving core still lacking. Receiving core is still lacking. Although if Doug can get just even one of his receivers to put up like 20 plus consistently, the running backs make up for it.
Yep.
Herbert had a great week as well. That he's on an offense where they score a lot of fantasy points, especially with Keenan Allen and Eckler helping him out. So it's got a solid fantasy quarterback as well. I kind of forgot who his tight end is. I think it's Evan Ingram.
If you don't have a top 3 tight end, then it really doesn't matter who's there.
So this is a solid team. This is a team that he can put up points. He just showed he can put up points to win a championship. Can he get it consistently? That's maybe a different question. But this is a man that has a team that can put up championship potential point and weeks. It all just depends on, can he do it consistently? I don't know if I feel like the receiver group's going to probably wind up letting this man down in the future. But with those running backs and how good they're able to play, this man has a chance against anyone, especially if they're down.
Yep.
So I'll give Doug credit on that. This is a team that a lot of people were giving up on. I think he's kind of reeled it back in.
Yes. Making some believers.
Again, now we're up to number 4, and we got our boy Joe. Again, it's 7-4. Was the 1 seed last week. Took a fat L to Doug. He's actually fallen, I think, all the way to the 4 seed because of that. And he's sitting here 4th in the power rankings.
He was the 3 in the regular rankings.
He was 3 in our rankings, fell down to 4, but he was the 1 seed in the league. And he's got 2 first place votes, by the way. I will say that about Joe. 2 first place votes.
He did have 2. Yeah, it's very impressive. Overall, his team
Is solid.
Didn't really have like crazy waverings in the power rankings. The only thing that really hurts him currently is actually the points for, surprisingly.
7th. Really lacking in points for. In fact, Ethan, you finally passed him even after how far back you were.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're averaging like 90 a week for the last 4 or 5 weeks, it's going to be tough to keep up the points for it. And that kind of showed here. But hey, he's still all the way up at 4. I do think his team is solid. I think that Devontae Adams is starting to get the use that he needed to get used at the beginning. My biggest question mark, which I've basically had all year, is his running backs. Derrick Henry can either go for 20 or can go for 2. Austin Eckler has been very weird this year. He's either been injured or been able to perform really well.
And he looked
It's
real
weird.
slow against the Packers. He looked
very
he
weird.
looked like he lost his step.
And then Kenneth Walker, the other
Just
one,
got injured.
just got injured. So his running back situation is a little weird for me, but overall, I think his team is solid.
Yeah. This is a team that either booms or busts. There's no middle ground for Joe. I think that's probably going to be the issue for him in terms of winning a championship. I feel like, can he put 3 consistent weeks together? I mean, he's done it. He did it to start the year, but hasn't been able to maintain 3 since. So I think that's going to be the biggest question mark for Joe. People seem to like him, not below 5th in any person's poll. And the upside of this team when they're all on fire is arguably top 3, top 2 in our league. Matt, you have any words for Joe?
I think on paper, and this man will not say a single good thing about my team or me ever, but I will go ahead and say a good thing about Joe's team. On paper, I think this is probably actually the best team. Now, granted, Josh's team, performance-wise this season, and on paper what they've done for this year, yeah, probably Josh's. But overall, given the course of history of the last couple of seasons, you want Austin Eckler on your team. You want Kenneth Walker on your team. You want his receivers on your team. Those are guys that I think dominate in fantasy points. And on paper, it's probably the best team in the league. But they haven't lived up to the bill, and I think that's why he's at 4 instead of higher.
Indeed. And then we actually have an update. Chase is down at 3 here. Quick update. Sleeper did update their poll before we did this, and we did update our standings. Forgot to update first place votes. Chase now has 4.
Oh, wow.
Most of anyone in the league. Chase actually has 4 first place votes. He's got points for and sleeper, and then 2 polls by people. And again,
he has that ballot.
Didn't vote himself first.
One ballot that puts him all the way down at 11. Or
yep.
No,
and
10, actually.
This man has a couple ballots. He's got someone put him at 6. Someone put him at 8.
8 and 10.
And a 10. And the controversial poll, you guessed it, put him at 10. You gotta love it. But yeah, in fact, this man didn't have a single thing ranking him outside the top 3. And then all of a sudden 6, 8, and 10. And I got those back to back to back. So again, volatile. These 3 people, I don't know what Chase is going to have to do to convince them. I know tough break, lost to Matt, got blown out. But again, AJ Brown had his bad week. Jalen Hurts and him yelled at each other. So now he's about to drop 30 plus a game again.
Mm-hmm.
Tyreek Hill as well. I think as of now, this is probably the best team in our league. I don't really know what much else to say there. He could even miss the playoffs if somehow gets unlucky enough, like he was at the beginning of the year. He's got tough matchups. He's got Josh. He's got John without a quarterback or tight end for Chase. He's going to have to waiver wire. And then he's got Doug, who can pop off any week. So it's not realistic, but it's not completely 0%. This man wins another game.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Really quick, hate to do this, but I do have to take a quick break. We will get right back into it, though. Just give me a little bit. Be right back, folks. All right, we're back from the quick break. Fellas, do we have anything more for Chase's team here?
I think on paper, this is probably the best team in our league.
It is. I mean, he will. It doesn't show it here, but he will have 4 first place votes. So I'm actually a little shocked he's all the way down at 3. But again, that's because of a certain. Actually, a few. Actually. He was 6, 8, and 10 on a few ballots. So Chase, if you want to go at some people, you'll be able to see that later.
We will leak all of these in our group chat, by the way, once the pod's released, just so you all can judge each other.
I was gonna say I get Chase's ranking with the 10 because I know whose that was. Who put him in? I didn't even look.
I was gonna say, yeah, Matt will be yelling at all of you about his ranking.
Just give it a second, Matt.
Chilling.
Wait till we release these. You'll see it.
Chilling.
All right. Up to number 2. We've got Ethan.
People.
And he actually only has one first place vote now.
Which is kind of wild.
Which is why I didn't think anyone would give him a first place vote. However, he does have it. And I'll say this about Ethan. Top 6 by everything, including points for, including sleeper.
Actually, I do have one other first place vote. I have one.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said you had 1, not 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you had 1. And you're in the top 6 of. Yep. Good job. Good job. Yeah, but
my lowest ranking is points for at 6.
Yeah, but every single ballot by an actual person has this man in the top 5. This is the first team. Yeah, this is the first team that everyone's consistently put as an elite team. Besides Joe just got penalized by points first. So Ethan and Joe, in terms of actual opinion,
I'm still top 6.
Are considered 3 and 2. They're considered the elite teams that everyone can agree on. And I'm not gonna lie, this is a really good team. He's up 2 spots to second, and I do like Ethan's team. His running backs are solid. Quarterback's a bit of a eh.
Well, I didn't build my team around quarterback.
Yeah, Amon-Ra's a great number 1 to have. He might miss Cooper Kupp for a week at most, but Cooper Kupp's a solid number 2, especially with everything being healthy. Once he gets healthy and the Rams having their offense back. I will say this again at tight end. He's got Travis Kelce. That's a solid top 3 tight end. His, kicker defense. I don't actually know who your flex is now, to be honest with you. Is it Joshua Downs?
It's either going to be Downs or Hopkins. I have the choice.
Yeah, DeAndre Hopkins, probably a solid flex. Joshua Downs exists as well. This is a solid team all around. And like every week we bring it up. He thought he sucked. He put himself last. No one thought this team would be good. He survived the stretch without Taylor. Yeah, no one bought into the team. And he's the 2 seed in our rankings. He's the 2 seed in the league. And he's winning his division by points for over Doug. This just a solid team.
I agree. I think everything's kind of been said about his team. Trade worked out pretty well for him. I think that he's kind of bolstered his roster since day one, and this is day one. We thought he was going to struggle with all the injuries and everything going on with his roster. He's come a long way since then.
Yeah, especially a lot of people don't know this because, again, it was so long ago. But I did draft J.K. Dobbins, who, if everybody remembers, got injured the very first game he played. So I had no Jonathan Taylor, no J.K. Dobbins, and I actually wasn't even able to pick up Gus Edwards or the other guy that they had. So, but some would say that sparked me getting Jerome Ford.
It did. And
so
I'll say this. Everyone was questioning you and David of drafting players who were injured or just out. And, no offense to David. David, fellow Losers Club member, my boy. But Ethan kind of showed how to deal with injuries and suspensions.
Always about the waivers. Always.
And Ethan, do you have any words to say to potential doubters who think you might be good but not good enough to win the championship?
I don't have really anything to say about that. My team's just not fully there yet. I need something out of Kupp still, and I need to see what Taylor can do, especially after the bye week. I understand that he's been playing good, but I want to see it more consistent because he's.
You also have the most waiver money.
I don't know if I still have the most, but I still have over 400.
Yeah, Ethan also has a lot. Anyone on waivers, Ethan probably going to drop like all the money on them. If any decent player gets really hurt at running back. So there's that. And then coming in at 1, and he's still 1. Would have been 1 in our rankings as well. It's Josh, and he legitimately does have 3 votes. At first, this is the most consistent top team. Not a single thing, including sleeper points for, has this man below 4th. No, take it back. Someone has him at 6. Who the fuck?
It's actually not the crazy ranking either. mind you. This was a completely different ballot.
I'm not going to lie. Just saw the 6th ranking. That one threw me off. I just caught that. Really threw me off. Holy shit. This man is...
But he was far and away the number one overall team.
1 seed in our league as well. He's winning his division, has the 2nd most points for. The team has the points for. It has the record. It's got everything.
Players too.
It's got Justin Jefferson just waiting to come back as well. And Jordan Addison fits right in as well, as the replacement. Keenan Allen as well. That's another top 5 receiver. Running backs, Tony Pollard finally didn't shit the bed this week.
And he still has Kamara.
Ripped to my life because of that, by the way. Fuck you, Tony Pollard. Alvin Kamara just had his bye week as well. That's a running back who isn't top 5. I don't think is in the top 5, but points per game is a top 3 running back. I
think he has Javonte Williams for the...
Yeah, and Javonte Williams as the 3,
right?
As the 3rd running back. This team is solid all around. I think Josh's worst position might be tight end.
Yeah, but I mean, your worst position is always going to be tight end if you don't pick a top 3 one.
Exactly. This team, again, another just all around. I don't really remember Josh having bad weeks. I know he's had at least one. But this is our most consistent team. This is a solid team. Everyone except for that one person seems to be on board that this is at worst, top 4 team in our league. Yeah. And one of the betting, if not the betting favorite, to win the championship.
I would say so. Matt,
I agree completely. I think that he is your team to beat, team to knock off. This is basically the Georgia of the college football playoff right now. But getting Justin Jefferson back, just like Georgia getting Brock Bowers back. Yeah. So huge for that team.
Now, I know it's a bit early, but I'm going to ask you guys for your hot takes here. And I'm also going to ask you, who do you think, because we're 11 weeks through, who do you got as your 2 teams in the championship game?
Oh, yeah.
And who do you have finishing last in the consolation playoffs? Who do you think finishes dead last in the toilet bowl?
Now, if everybody starts their teams in the toilet bowl,
I'll make sure of
I've
that.
got they want to start the best players.
Oh, I'm letting people know now. Dead last, your punishment. You're paying the buy-in for the winner next year. I'm just letting you know that right now. Even if it's myself, I pretty much paid for 9 buy-ins this year.
To finish dead last, I'll start with that. I actually think that it'll be David and Colin in the last place. The 2, 4, and 7 teams. I think you and Adam make it out. You guys don't have to worry about that.
They only play week 15 and 16.
Being,
the toilet bowl, the people out of the consolation playoffs don't play in week 17 at all. There just is no games.
So I think it's actually I think it's Colin that ends up in the poop spot. Sorry, buddy. But yeah, team's just been going downhill, and it's going downhill fast. But the championship game, which is much more exciting, sadly, I'm going to exclude myself. I haven't been consistent enough. I haven't put up big weeks yet to really compete in the playoffs. I can see myself making it to the second round, but that game's going to be very difficult after that. So I don't see myself in the championship. 2 teams I do see in the championship are obviously Josh, who I have as my consistent number 1 overall, maybe even minus odds to win the championship. And this may surprise some people here. I've actually got Doug. Oh. I've got Doug also in the championship.
And then who would you have winning that?
Tough question. You know what? I'm going to get frisky. I'll take Doug.
All right. Ethan, as of now, has Doug as his championship prediction. Matt, what about yourself here?
So I would agree with Ethan on Colin as the bottom tier loser. He's going to lose the shit ball. But actually, no. I'm not going to do that because Ethan took it. I'm going to go ahead and say it will be Colin and David playing against each other. And David, congratulations.
No.
You are going to lose the shit. No. Championship. This is hard. I would have been able to give a more educated guess if I looked at week 16, 17 matchups and compared with rosters. Don't have that luxury.
Just off the dome.
Give me Chase's team.
Okay.
They're the one that advances the easiest. Probably knocks my team out, to be honest.
Oh, I want to point out Chase is going to be playing a top 4 team at the moment. He'd be playing Josh, who's the 1 seed at the moment if the started. Be a huge game.
Give me Chase's team. Give me Josh's team. And I got Josh winning the whole thing.
Oh, you took the favorite.
I'm gonna keep this short and simple. Give me Adam and Colin in the shit game. Give me Adam. Give me Colin with the upset win. Give me Adam.
Adam in the poop spot. That sucks.
Championship game. I like the team. Not gonna lie, might be inflating the ego a bit here. Give me Matt.
Oh, okay.
Give me Matt in the spot. And honestly, curveball here. Give me Joe. Give me a Matt Joe game.
Oh, no.
Give me Joe. And I'm gonna pick Joe. Give me Joe to have his run of 3 straight good games in the playoffs. Give me his 3 straight weeks where Joe's gonna have the best 3-week period in the league. I think he's gonna average over 140.
I cannot think of a worse scenario for Matt than making the championship and losing to Joe.
He's still like 300.
Think of it.
You still get $300. That's still $300.
Ethan, I can think of a worse. I can think of a worse scenario.
It'd probably be, yeah.
Yeah, I can. It
probably
might have something to do with last year.
Oh.
Want to talk about it?
And I'll say this. I'll say this as well. Hot take. If Chase loses week 17, he's out of the playoffs. That's my hot take. If Chase winds up losing in week 17, I think Joe or I think Josh or Ethan does the legal thing where they bench starters
17?
or week 14. Week 14.
There you go.
Yeah. Where legal thing, you can bench starters and fill them with spots of legitimate players on teams. No Tim Tebow's, legitimate starters. And I think Ethan and Josh do that to intentionally throw a game, get Colin or David in the playoffs, knock Chase out of the playoffs.
I would much rather have one of those two guys in than Chase.
I think it comes down to Chase having to beat Doug to actually make the playoffs. I think that's my thing. That's a huge game. And I mean, Doug beat him badly in week 1. Over 20
He's the
points.
only team in the top 6 that's not 7-4.
Yep. So
oh my gosh.
So I think I think that's my thing. I see Ethan and Josh doing that in the legal way.
It is going to be legal. Like, we're still going to have a full starting lineup, and obviously, like, we can't just drop our players because
I'll tell you this right now.
Back up.
If your projection's under 85 points, I'm not allowing it. That projection better be at least 85 points.
Well, yeah.
Like, I'm going to base it off your projection.
We have to have a minimum David projection.
Minimum David projection, pretty much, yeah.
Right.
I think that's my pick. That's my risk.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's been our Thanksgiving power rankings brought to you by the LIV League. I hope you guys enjoyed that little segment. That was kind of fun for us to do, fun for us to put together. But now we're just going to get into the games this week. And who do we got as the first one?
All right, kick us
The
off.
potential poop boy matchup.
It sucks.
Potential poop matchup.
This game sucks. This game absolutely fucking sucks. Give me David. Give me David in this, honestly, for no other reason besides these two teams. No offense, David. These two teams suck. Adam still has a 1% chance of making the playoffs. It isn't mathematically over. And I do think the result will happen that'll keep him alive if he wins this week to make it. But I don't think Adam's going to do the job. I think David wins this game. Give me Adam as the low score of the week. Give me a shit bowl. This is a mid as fuck game. Give me like 106-91, David.
Matt, give me your take.
This game sucks.
This is a brutal one. But I still believe since the trade that Adam made with Doug, his team has been somewhat better. They obviously haven't won a whole lot other than against me. I'm going to take Adam here. Sorry, David. I think that David's kind of just nonchalantly thrown in the towel and been like, this sucks. I hate this. I'll still set a lineup and hope that my team wins, but his team is kind of playing with his mindset from how he talks.
Yeah, that loss to you a couple of weeks ago.
That one really hurt him.
Basically killed his season. You killed David. I hope you're happy. You killed David. But I still got him winning this game because he does still have playoff chances. And I think he's got the points to make the playoffs. He just doesn't start the right people.
David's dead last in points for. Just going to bring it up.
Well, he has left so many points on the bench every week, it seems. So anyways, I think David's team is good enough to be able to make a push at the finish here. So give me David to win this.
Are these the two lowest start-sit accuracies in our league? They might be the two lowest start-sit accuracies in our league.
I'm actually pretty far down there too, so I'm shocked I'm 7.
All right, yep. So moving on. We got it's
Speaking of
blowout of the week. Blowout of the week. Not even fucking bringing it up. Blowout of the week. Ethan's winning this game by over 30. I'm gonna go with like 130 to 100. I don't like Aaron's team. I'm not gonna lie. Still not a huge fan of it. Puka's also nursing an injury, not like badly, but like Puka's got a shoulder injury. Josh Allen's about to play Philly on the road. Josh Allen, notorious for performing in big games. Give me
actually got a lot of tough matchups this week.
Yeah, apparently the Raiders are a red matchup. Okay, there. Give me Trav.
No,
yeah.
I mean, if I'm looking, I've got Taylor going against Tampa Bay's defense, which is really good, and Brees Hall going against Miami. I don't necessarily know if Miami's run defense is that good, but Sleeper says they are. So
blowout of the week.
I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be a really close game because my projection is way over inflated. Closest game of the week, and I think Aaron's going to win it.
Matt, I'm not gonna lie, you went full Joe there. You just went dark.
Well, I think Ethan's team is going to win this game. I think it'll be closer than blowout of the week, but I think he probably ends up winning it pretty handily. This is just only Aaron choosing Ethan because bad time to get him. He's got some players that are probably going to cause problems. You're going to have to probably score 130 to win this one. So give me Ethan's team.
Yeah, I also want to point out DK Metcalf gets the Niners. That should be fun.
Tough.
Apparently, that's a green matchup for wide receivers. By the way, when your players play the Niners, good. Mm-hmm. It's a good time. All right, moving on. Can I say blowout of the week again? God damn it!
I think you messed up.
Second blowout of the week, not as big as the first one. Give me Joe to win this game by 28 points.
Oh, okay.
Again, not a really great week for Matt. The shitty matchups are coming out first. I feel like Joe won't even have that good of a week. I feel like Joe will only put up like 115. I feel like Colin's going to drop like an 87 here. Potential low score of the week right there with Adam. I don't think he'll get it. But yeah, I don't like Colin's team at all here. It's really only Etienne at this point. There's really no positive things to say about Colin's team. And I mean, Joe's team's stacked. I don't think this is close at all.
I will have to do. I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say upset of the week. I'm going to say Colin somehow pulls this off. He's going to catch Joe again on a little streak because Joe was a very streaky team. I don't know if you do this, but he was 4-0 to begin the year. He then went to, I believe, 5-4, or
lost
maybe
three
it was
straight.
4-4. Lost three straight. He's now been on another win streak.
He then went on
I think
another
he starts his
3-win
losing streak before the playoffs. I think I got Colin in this game.
Matt, what about yourself?
Joe lost last week, and it doesn't get much easier for him here. Opponent-wise, probably exactly who he wants to see, but roster-wise, what his guys are doing. Like Kenneth Walker's out. I'm pretty sure. It's been officially announced yet, but pretty sure he's out.
I believe Joe will be slotting in Nico Collins.
Interesting matchup. Joe wins a close.
All righty. We got they still haven't had a sweep yet. I feel like Ethan's just picking against me.
That's not true.
All right, easy sweep right here. Give me Matt, closest game of the week. Give me Matt to win by fucking
Actually,
5.
is amazing start. So this is amazing management.
Yeah, this is the amazing accuracy bowl right here, boys. Give me Matt to win by that average difference. It's gonna be heartbreaker of the week. Matt's gonna win like 128 to like 126. And you know what? I'm already dead inside, so I can't be hurt again. So give me Matt. I'll say this though. I think Devontae Smith returns a bit to earth. I think the thing that's really going to be funny is I'm going to lose because McCaffrey and Kyron are going to combine for 50 on me when I had both of them at one point. It'll just be like a bittersweet thing of like how much I missed having them. And Jamar Chase will drop like a 5 so Matt can be happy he traded him away. Stupidly enough, though, high score in our game, weirdly enough, I'm going to pick it's Mike Evans. I feel like this is a Mike Evans 30 week for whatever reason. But it won't be
What
enough.
do you got?
I think this is going to be a close game as well. I would honestly have picked Barb every single time that we played against each other if it weren't for Kyron Williams. I think because of the fact Kyron Williams is coming back this week, I think I win and get to 7-5. Otherwise, I'd pick Barb. This is a must-win game for him, and his team has been delivering. They scored 130 again last week. So once again, if he were playing me last week, it would have been another close matchup.
I would have lost.
Close. You're right, but it still would have been really close. I think it's going to be really close. Hopefully my team scores just as many points. I don't know if they will, but we'll see. I think it'll be close.
Yeah, no, this is definitely going to be my closest game of the week. This is going to be a game that I really enjoy watching. Boy, oh boy. Yeah, Barb, you have playoff stakes on the line. And honestly, Matt, I don't think you have playoff stakes on the line, but you definitely have a first round matchup that you either like or don't like on the line. So, with that being said, I got Matt's team. I think Kyron Williams definitely goes over his projection. Christian McCaffrey, like always, will go over his projection. I predict combined probably 50 points out of those two. So yeah, give me Matt in this one. But it is still going to be a close game because, like Barb said, it was Mike Evans.
I'm pretty sure this is the close or the best sit accuracy.
Yeah,
best.
Yep. Yeah, it's tragic.
I'll point that out.
It's quite tragic. I don't really fuck up my matchups. You and me don't fuck up starting people.
No, impressive.
And our points for is probably within 20, and you see the difference in record.
Yeah,
it's been pain. All right, moving on, though. We got a pretty good one. Sneaky good matchup here. We got John, who off of Fraud Watch, finally, taking on high score of the week last week in Doug and a big upset over Joe. And closest projection. Ethan, who you got?
I got Doug in the blowout.
Damn.
Simple as that. I'm not going to go too deep into it. I really enjoy Doug's team right now. I got Doug in the blowout.
The projections actually changed. It's actually a 0.14 difference now, favoring Doug.
I agree with Ethan. I think Doug blows him out. And crazy enough, 8-4, if he blows him out by enough and gets the points difference, he could probably be in the running for first in the standings. I think he'd still be behind Josh, but
Doug's a bit far back of Ethan and Aaron.
He would need some help, obviously. But
Ethan, bench your team.
He's actually not that far back. He's only 23 back of me. Now, granted, he's over 100 back of Josh, so that's a little tough.
So he would need Josh.
Yeah. I'm not gonna say closest game of the week, but give me I don't know. I really feel like this might be a close game. And I haven't picked an upset yet. But you know what? I'll give it. Doug's technically favored at the moment, barely. Give me Doug. Give me Doug by like 7. I feel like this is going to be a decently close game. John's team's been performing pretty consistently recently. Joe Mixon, I feel like probably going to not have a great game against the Steelers. Although he might, because I don't think Browning can throw the ball more than 10 yards without looking like shit. A lot of dump downs to Mixon might help out. And I wouldn't be that shocked. I mean, they're the closest projection. I wouldn't be shocked if John wins this. But give me Doug. Close game. And even if he loses, as long as he puts up over 110, John, you're officially off Fraud Watch and will not be returning.
That is nice. That is nice to hear. Really quick, I actually forgot to mention this earlier, but this is our first rematches of the year, by the way.
They are. They are the rematches of week.
Just a quick recap of the games we've already covered. I beat Aaron the last time we played. Matt, you and Barb played the closest game, which you ended up pulling out, Matt. Doug ended up beating John pretty handily. Adam ended up beating David by 20 points. And then our other game that we covered had the highest score of the week, Joe putting up 159 on Colin.
And then what about Ethan? And then you missed a game, and it's our game of the week.
Because it's the game of the week.
Yeah. Who won this last time?
Heading full speed in the lane, still getting it.
I mean, I think I know, but just remind the viewers.
Shocking. Unfortunate for this man. Highest points in the loss. It was Chase putting up 125, losing to Josh, who put up 144. This game is great. This is going to be a high-scoring affair for sure.
Projections have changed. Chase is now favored to win by about 2.5. Josh does have Jefferson in. There's been people saying that the Vikings might not play him again just because they have a bye week next week, just to give him that full rest to get him healthy. That would bring his projection down by about 7. So Chase is favored. I think he has the most. He's projected the second most points this week. Josh projected the third. This is a big game. Josh is trying to defend the 1 seed. Chase ultimately with the loss here and potential matchups could fall into the same record as the 9 and 10 seed. So this is a big game for Chase. He needs this to separate himself. Like I said, I have a hunch a team like Josh or Ethan for playing for a 1 seed might bench some players in week 14 to avoid a Chase first round matchup. So Chase needs to get the wins he can get before he plays into week 14 and potentially needs a win. So Ethan, who you got here?
Now, really quick, I do want to say I'm not technically going to bench players. I'm going to rest them for the playoffs.
Oh, my bad. Resting for the playoffs. Second half, all of a sudden, weirdly enough, it's not Jonathan Taylor, it's Zach Moss.
Hey, we're resting for the playoffs. But, gosh, this is a fun game. And surprisingly enough, I've got the Nugget himself securing his playoff spot this week. I've got him beating Josh. I've got him putting up the most points this week. That is what it is. Chase, congratulations. For me, you've made the playoffs.
Matt, what about yourself?
And I'm going to double down here. Jets have a great pass defense, but not this week. I think if the Jets even somewhat keep it close, Tyreek Hill is the one that wins this game for the Dolphins. He honestly torched me on just a few plays. I see his volume in this game being higher, and I think he just kind of takes off. So congrats, Josh. You get a pretty pissed off A.J. Brown this week as well, and Tyreek Hill. So I got
tough.
Chase winning a close game, brutal. Even if Justin Jefferson does play this week, I think he is limited. I'm not going to rule him out and say that he won't play because he very well could. I just don't see him being as productive. And it might even be worth looking at some of the other guys that you can play in front of him, even if he's available. I don't think he's going to get that much in the way of passing. Josh Dobbs likes to run the ball a lot. They've got an offense that they can run that doesn't have to be reliant on Justin Jefferson. I think Chase wins. Like I said, close game, maybe 5-6 points. We'll see.
I've got this being the highest combined point total for the week, by far. I've got these being the 2 highest scores of the week. This is a great matchup. The projection's very close, 2.5. Chase is desperate for a win. Josh, maybe not desperate for a win, but I think Josh likes looking at his seed and seeing that 1. And for the division as well, he could fall as far as like the 5 seed with a loss. Maybe even the 6 if you win too, Matt. So this is huge for seeding. And you know what? Tyreek Hill and A.J. Brown under 40 combined. Kamara over 25. Give me Josh to win this game 143 to 139 against Chase. This is a heartbreaker for Chase. Give me Josh. Give me a Keenan Allen 35 on Sunday night to really just drive the dagger into Chase's heart.
Wow.
And honestly, to make it even worse, I mean, Chase still has to put Stevenson in, which will up his projection again. Give me Stevenson terrible game as well. Give me like I'm feeling TJ Hawkinson and Rashad White are going to be the big scores for Chase. Give me 60 for both of them combined. That's going to be where he gets it. Lamar's going to put up a solid 25 as well. I feel like Josh is going to get a Keenan Allen and Alvin Kamara just god tier week. This feels like a Kyler Murray 2 rushing touchdown game where he drops like a 28 in fantasy, and you look at his stat line, you go, where the fuck did 28 points come from? Yeah, give me Josh. And honestly, this is going to put the pressure on Chase next week to win without Lamar Jackson and TJ Hawkinson. This is going to be massive for Chase. I think this is a huge L for him. And I think it's going to lead into the Chase John game of the week next week, if I'm being honest. There's not likely, but a actual scenario where Chase loses out. He's playing Doug last week, John with some bad bye weeks. This is a must-win game, I believe, for Chase.
It'd be difficult.
We know what's
sure.
coming week 14. We all know what's coming week 14 if the playoffs are potentially on the line for him. So weeks 12 and 13 are massive for him. And if David or Colin wins the next 2 weeks and Chase loses 2 straight weeks, you might as well not even give him a playoff chance in week 14. This is massive for him. I don't think he gets it done. Classic Chase, he can tell you now, when it comes to clutch time in fantasy football, falls apart, something goes wrong, it's going to happen again. History repeats itself.
That's tough. I mean, oh, man. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give these boys here a closing statement. But this has been a Thanksgiving episode. I want to give thanks really quick to those that helped us make this, which is our entire league.
And my brother.
And your brother, with the parlays, all the sports bets. And we just want to, again, thank you guys for pushing us to make this podcast because it's been a great time. I hope you guys have enjoyed it.
Fuck you, Colin.
Bad guy Barb again. But Matt, what do you got for us?
Interesting week of matchups. This is actually a tighter race than anyone could have probably imagined going into the season. How many teams we have at 7-4? Like
We have
4 or 5? 5.
Almost half the league is 7-4.
Wild that you can lock out teams that are below 500 from the postseason because everyone else is pretty much above 500. The only team that's under 500 that's got a shot is Chase. Possibly some mix in there with standings, but Chase's team, expect them to win at least one of these next few games. So
it's needed. It's huge. It's needed.
That's it.
It's got the toughest end of the season, honestly, for being real. That's a tough stretch.
That is a tough stretch. But I think his team is plenty capable of winning one of those games.
I'll say this. I'm happy I made the league. It's been a good time. The group chat's been fucking terrible to wake up to 500 text messages sometimes. I don't know how you guys do it by 10:30 in the morning. I'm impressed. I read all of them though. I do read. It's honestly my night book and day book when I wake up. And I'm just looking forward to next year where hopefully I don't schedule myself into a fucking gauntlet of pain.
That is tough.
You know what I give thanks to? The 3 people who were kind enough to let me fucking win.
Oh, man. Matt, were you one of them?
No.
I was not one of them.
I wasn't one of them either.
No, you 2 are bad people.
Well, anyways,
don't say
ladies
stuff
and
like that when I
gentlemen,
play him this week.
I gave both of you a win. Where's my return win?
your return win is this podcast with the fellas. Again, thank you very much, everybody, for watching.
Oh, yeah, by the way.
The LIV Fantasy Football Podcast, episode 13. Here's the game. Forgot about it, but you guys already saw them already. You know what's happening. This has been episode 13. I hope you enjoyed it. We made it a little bit longer because we want you to have something to watch as you're hanging around with your family.
Play it for the family. Play it for the family. See if your grandma
Play it
agrees
for
with
the
our
fam.
power rankings.
Again, hit the subscriber button, hit the notifications, and honestly like the video. Let's get some of that going. Let's see where we can take this. Probably not very far.
Get Ethan copyright straight.
Let's not do that. Anyways, again, this has been LIV episode 13. Thanks for watching. We will see you guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye.
I did forget to fix his slide. David, this is your old logo. I apologize. That's on me. Psych, I don't apologize, David. I don't. You got fleeced. Easy money.
Smoke weed every day.
Oh, baby, it's football! Oh, yeah!
Damn, son, where'd you find this?